Fraud is all over this financial system. I'm going to talk to you today about some of these instances historically and why I believe the paper market should be avoided until further notice. Which stock should you get into? Should you get into them at all? What about government bonds? And so on and so forth. This is from my book here, and this is basically how a stock is actually made up. So you have that market cap. You hear about the $500 billion company, and you're wondering what that really means. That's, for those who don't know, of course, that's then divided up into what they call a share, and then you get your dollar value from that. And I have diagrams like this in the book, and I just want to explain to some people because, of course, everyone isn't at that same level. Hopefully we can all get up to speed. Why Bernanke's open mouth operations beat policy moves. For those who don't know what he's play on words is, it's basically the open market operations, and that is no other way to explain it but money printing in order to manipulate the interest rates. So that's how we get interest rates. They're not developed by the market. They're not really any sort of free market semblance here. This is basically the Federal Reserve, a semi-private institution which is setting the interest rates for the country, and because they're such a focal point in the whole world, they're really affecting what the whole world is doing, all from these open market operations. Now what this individual says is that just by Bernanke, this was when he was still in charge, just by Bernanke saying something in one of these meetings has a dramatic effect on the market itself. Why? Because the stability of the market isn't there. There is no stable footing underneath it. Therefore, every little thing that they say moves the market at a dramatic rate. Now, of course, it comes back, and over these past recent years here, we've seen it climbing, but there is no reality to the market. It is not real. That's pretty clear when it's able to go up and down for practically no reason at all. Just the central banker saying one sentence, and it has such a dramatic effect on what's happening in the market. You know that that foundation is not present. Nassim Taleb is famous for his risk analysis, and he of course talks about the black swan, and many people haven't really read his book. They only understand or only read the title and may perhaps seen an interview or two, but basically he is a risk analysis type of investor. That's really what I consider myself to be as well. Where there is risk, there is failure. So you avoid that risk and you have the best chance of avoiding the failure. It's a pretty simple really a theory to go along by. So I play on this same theory that you need to avoid the risk, and the paper investments right now at this very time are the most risky out of any of the asset classes. Therefore, I believe they should be avoided, at least for the time being. Marc Faber's talking about the PE ratios right now. So he says, I think there are some groups of stocks that are highly vulnerable because they're in cuckoo land in terms of valuations. They have no earnings. They're valued at price to sales, and that's not a good metric in the long run. This is how they do this. They can manipulate the markets. They do the same thing when they're calculating the inflation rate. They remove certain items, like for example, gasoline is not included, food is not included. The most important things, the things that cost the most amount of money, are not included in their valuations. That's how they're able to manipulate the system, so they can provide you with a figure that isn't correct, but at least it keeps the public calm. Give them what they need, give them what they want to hear, and they will remain calm no matter how poor, no matter how distraught they are. Let's go on here. And I talked about the PE ratios in my book as well. Just mentioning here for one sentence, many companies in the dot-com boom had PE ratios of over 100. And historically, they're somewhere between 15 and 16. So right here, there are many, many multiples beyond where they should be. And of course, we're not at that level right now. However, they're already reaching higher than they should be. So that'll have to come down. Historically, it will have to come down. The stock market is overvalued right now. We have no reality in there. Rich individuals have been pulling their money out. They've been selling their stocks. I've been researching right now that the tech company giants are pulling out a lot of their money. They know that this market has been riding really hot right now, and they want to get their money out. They're buying farmland, they're buying real estate, they're buying all kinds of different things that are real assets. They're doing so now, and I suggest the individual do that same thing. This is Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett is constantly talking about how we have to bail out the system, and people really, really take what Buffett has to say as if it's really something out of the Bible that he needs to be followed. He's the greatest investor of all time. However, he was one of the biggest proponents of the bailout, talking about how serious you need to that this bailout is. Everyone needs to do it. My secretary, doesn't get or pays too much in taxes. I don't pay enough in taxes, so on and so forth. He was one of the biggest benefiters of the bailouts. He received billions of dollars indirectly through his Berkshire Hathaway that is straight up benefiting from the bailouts. Of course, he was a proponent of those bailouts, but yet he can go on the news, he can eat ice cream cones and drink Coca-Cola and pretend that he's an innocent old man, and he just wants the public to feel good, and that his donations to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation have nothing to do with what's going on deeper in that, which I will not get into in this video. So he is nothing but a snake. You can see that here as right in this chart. He is a direct benefiter of this bailout system and bailout scheme that they provided. If you want to know more information like this, you need to get onto the Money GPS Insiders. That is basically my system for getting off of the YouTube, for getting away from all that, where we can just communicate over email. So no matter what they do, as long as we have this method of communication, I can still bring you the information, and I will continue to do that for the foreseeable future. I hope to see you there. It is at themoneygps.com. Scroll down to the bottom, fill in your email address. Take care.